just talking about last night's game, and what did you make of the whole Baker Mayfield coming in, saving the day? I'm hearing now he is the savior of Cleveland. He's going to be the greatest quarterback to ever play. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it is kind of funny. We have a tendency, or some people have a tendency to anoint very, very quickly. The same mindset when it came to Sam Darnold after week one. The Jets win 48-17. He throws a pick six on the first play. They rebound, and he rebounds. And now all of a sudden coming crashing back to earth. The thing about the NFL is you have so much time to talk about it afterwards. Especially a game like this, which is a Thursday night game, and it's the only game in town for a couple of days. And, but Sunday will roll around and we'll underreact and we'll overreact to some other things. But, you look at the game on the surface last night, Mayfield comes in there. He did a great job of getting rid of the football quickly, which I think was the problem for Tyrod Taylor in that game. Tyrod winds up suffering the concussion. He looked uncomfortable the entire night under the gun. Remember, he was sacked 7 times in the week one tie against the Steelers. So, that's not a great offensive line with the Browns. It's still kind of trying to find itself and so on. But I think they made some adjustments in the second half. I think maybe the Jets weren't really prepared for what they were going to see in terms of Mayfield. But, the whole team stepped up. And, it's got a pretty respectable Browns defense. Now, are they getting ready to run the table? I don't think so. But, I understand the excitement, and a lot of that excitement, obviously, is for a team that had not won a game since week 16 of 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. Russell Baxter joining us, ProFootballGuru.com. And then, on the flip side, for all the excitement that Baker Mayfield is bringing to the table for the Cleveland fan base, we've already got our overrated or complete failure now with Sam Darnold. I mean, it's still a rookie, and it's amazing to me how the overreactions are so crazy on both sides here. Baker Mayfield's great, and now Sam Darnold is a bust. What did you think? What do you think they've done, the Jets, so far with Sam Darnold? How do you think they're handling him?
I think they're handling him just fine. You think of the irony. You're either a bust, as in disappointment, or you're a bust in the Hall of Fame. There is no happy medium.
Right.
When it comes to a lot of these guys.
Yep.
And listen, the Jets were a 5-11 team each of the past 2 seasons. It's almost as if there are many people, both fan-wise and even in our profession, who refuse to accept the notion that this is not a one-man game. Okay? This is not about picking up the NFL schedule and saying which quarterback is playing this week. Okay? That would be great at the U.S. Open. Okay? That would be great at the U.S. Open in tennis and golf of who's playing this week. You have to have all the parts. You have to have cohesion. Okay? So the Jets last year, which had some defensive holes last year, okay, had to fill one this offseason with Avery Williamson coming in to fill in for Demario Davis. This is a team that is, let's see what that would be, 10-25.
5, yes.
I'm sorry, bad math by me. 11-24 the last 3 years. So expecting Sam Darnold to come in here and just right the ship is kind of unrealistic as well. So, but again, the knee-jerk reaction to what we see, I think the Jets are doing a fine job with. And listen, even in what turned out to be the loss last night, you look at Sam Darnold, and one thing you notice with Baker Mayfield, and you notice with some of these young quarterbacks, it's almost as if, Joe, they look more comfortable on 3rd and 4th down than they do on 1st and 2nd down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was very noticeable last night as well.
Darnold, before he threw the game-ending pick, Sam Darnold completed, I believe, a terrific pass on 4th down to keep the drive alive.
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, the Cleveland coaching staff did a better job of kind of taking the training wheels off of him and saying, all right, go out, do what you do, which a lot of times is extend plays and get out of trouble and throw the ball downfield. And it did appear, though, that the coaching staff for the Jets were just going to scream to death the Cleveland Browns, and that's about all they trusted Sam Darnold to do. Did you get that impression as well?
Well, yeah, and I don't know if it was so much trusting Sam Darnold, but not trusting their offensive line.
Good point.
And, of course, the screen game provides you with a couple of aspects. For the offensive linemen, that means they could run downfield and not have to block Myles Garrett. That defense has gotten out after Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees the first two games. Okay, so Greg Williams, who's one of the obviously more aggressive defensive coaches in this league, a head coach at one time, obviously with the Saints for a spell as a defensive coordinator, very aggressive. They went out and, people scratched their heads a little, Joe, about not getting Bradley Chubb. They went out and drafted Denzel Ward with the 4th overall pick. He's been sensational.
Yes, he has.
The first 3 weeks. He had a big play in the game last night.
Yep.
So they got the right pieces for what Greg Williams wants to do. Now they just got to get the offense to complement the defense. And that last night, there were a lot of bubble screens. There were a lot of quick passes to the outside. That was to get the Browns either, and the draw plays inside as well. They wanted to take advantage of the Browns' aggressiveness. And a lot of times you can diminish a pass rush by making them think that you're going to drop back and pass and then handing off the ball. So kudos to the Cleveland defense, which has a bunch of takeaways in the first 3 games. By the way, last year in 16 games, the Browns forced only 13 turnovers.
Yep, you're going to be able to win some games if you continue to do that. Russell Baxter joining us, ProFootballGuru.com. That's where you can see him also on Twitter at BaxFootballGuru. The mess that is the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, it's pretty simple, Russell. Has Mike Tomlin lost the locker room? Has he lost all control as to what is going on in Pittsburgh? Or is everyone still overreacting to Le'Veon Bell not being there, what Antonio Brown did, not showing up this week? Or is Mike Tomlin truly, are the wheels coming off in Pittsburgh?
I don't think the wheels are coming off, but they got to do something to fix that defense, Joe. I mean, that's really the cause of angst. The team won 13-3. They won the AFC North. But think about what we've seen from the Steelers defensively. The last 2 games they played at home. And think about this. I mean, I've been watching football for a long time, obviously going back to the late 60s, early 70s, and obviously I'm not going to start talking about the steel curtain.
Right.
But to lose home games 45-42 and 42-37, that doesn't – I mean, that's – that might be the Pitt Panthers basketball team, okay? That's what we've seen at Heinz Field the last 2 times. You go back, and it actually started even before Ryan Shazier went down with the neck injury, okay? And now, obviously, his football future is in question, although he's, doing very, very well, obviously, rehabbing and so on. The Steelers' defensive unit, Joe, in the last 9 games, has given up 32 touchdowns.
Wow.
Okay? Remember, they survived a game at home against Baltimore late in the year, 39-38. They survived a game against the Green Bay Packers on a Sunday night without Aaron Rodgers, 31-28. So even in these wins, and sometimes the wins mask the problems, this team has given up a bunch of points, and it's about 27.5, I think, points per game the last 9 games. They were giving up 16.5 their first 10 games last year. So you see Pat Mahomes come in and throw 6 touchdown passes and be laser sharp against them. And this was think about this as far as defensive problems. This was a team last year that led the league with 56 sacks and still couldn't cover anybody.
Crazy. Yeah, absolutely. It's been just an unbelievable 3 weeks thus far in the NFL. Storylines all over the place, drama all over the place, and maybe no more drama or, well, I wouldn't want to say this is going to be a huge game, but Sunday night we've got the teacher versus the student. We got Matt Patricia, head coach of the Detroit Lions, now going to take on his former teacher there in Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And the rumors are already flying with Matt Patricia. Not the players just aren't adapting. They're not buying what he is selling. Is Matt Patricia truly in trouble in Detroit, or should we all just breathe and give them a little bit time? After all, they do have Matt Stafford as a quarterback.
Yeah, they do, and they also have Bob Quinn as a general manager. And Bob Quinn, of course, is familiar with Matt during both days in New England. But it is worth noting, and not all of this is on the defense, obviously, Joe, but the last 3 times Matt Patricia has taken the football field is either a defensive coordinator or a head coach. He saw the Patriots give up 41, and then the Lions give up 48 and 30. That's 119 points. Again, pick 6 with the Jets, punt return at the Jets. But last week, the 49ers, who were really kind of devoid of offensive weapons, they were up 30-13 in that game before Matt Stafford made it close. So, yeah, there's stories about, rough on the veteran players, not seeing eye to eye, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, you never know with a first-time head coach. And as you remember in week 1, all the brand new head coaches took an L, all 7 of them, and so on. Things now starting to settle down a little. But it'll be interesting. I will say this. I saw New England last week, and I'm not surprised Jacksonville beat them, but I was surprised the way Jacksonville beat them because Jacksonville beat them with their offense. And it wasn't sacking Tom Brady 6 times and forcing 3 turnovers. Blake Bortles thrown for 377 yards and 4 touchdowns. And even though Jacksonville turned over the ball twice in that game, they were up 21 at one time. They were up 18 at one time.
Yep.
It was, a pretty decisive win. So I think a lot of people were wondering about New England's offense this year. Their defense was a no-show last week.
It absolutely was. And the offense, for the first time, like you said, you can ever remember, Blake Bortles in that offense without Leonard Fournette were able to carry the day and actually beat the New England Patriots. And I'm wondering, too, I want to go through with you. Russell Baxter joining us at Bax Football Guru. You see it there on the screen. ProFootballGuru.com is where you can check out his stuff. I want to play contender or pretender with you. I'm going to give you a couple of names of some teams here, and you tell me if you think they're a contender or a pretender. And we're going to start with the Miami Dolphins here in South Florida. Are they contenders or pretenders in your view?
They haven't convinced me yet that they are contenders. I will say I'm surprised by their start. But if I have to choose one or the other, I'll say pretenders for now because I think this is one of those teams that was more shrouded in mystery this offseason. They cleaned out a lot of high-profile guys like Mike Pouncey and Ndamukong Suh. And I also have to say pretenders because I'm not sure what we're going to get all season from Ryan Tannehill. Here's a guy who hadn't played football for over a year heading into the season. And he hasn't been super sharp, but he's been resourceful.
Cincinnati Bengals, pretenders or contenders?
Contenders. This is a team that's always had good personnel. This was a team last year during the offseason, off a disappointing year, but really took a big blow last season in free agency, Joe, when they lost Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle, to the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think they ever really recovered from that. This year they went out and did some wheeling and dealing. They got Cordy Glenn to play left tackle. They got Billy Price, the rookie from Ohio State, to play center. They look sharp. Are they going to win every game 34-23 this year? They're 2 for 2 so far. But I think they've been very, very impressive. They have good personnel. Now, it's always been a team that's had a little bit of depth as well, especially at the skill positions. And, Jeremy Hill's out for the year in New England, former Bengal. Joe Mixon's now out for a couple of weeks. with the Bengals, but they have Giovanni Bernard to fall on in terms of the running game.
Yes, no, and they've done very, very well. And listen, so is this team, given what they have here. Denver Broncos, are they contenders or pretenders, do you think?
I have to say pretenders for now because I want to see Denver on the road, okay? And I also want to see Denver. I know this sounds really weird. I want to see Denver in October, okay? As hard as believe as it may sound, and it's regardless of who's the starting quarterback now, because over this stretch it's now been Peyton Manning, and it's been Trevor Siemian, and now Case Keenum. Joe, the Broncos are 2-0 for the 6th year in a row. Okay, some of those have resulted in Super Bowl appearances. Last year they were 2-0 and 3-1, and then lost 10 of the last 12 games. In 2016, without Peyton Manning, they were 4-0. And then they lost 7 of their last 12 games. So I got to say pretenders for now, but make sure you have me back on about week 6 or 7, and we'll see if we can sort this out.
There you go. All right. He is the man behind the man who's the man. And I can't thank you enough. Russell Baxter at Bax Football Guru on Twitter, profootballguru.com. Make sure you check his stuff out. And I also wanted to mention, too, I thought you had this on your Twitter report, too, Russell. I think Julius Peppers is doing something really good for the community. He's from North Carolina. If you just want to speak real quick to what's going on there, and obviously from South Florida, we know all about hurricanes, but he's actually put together a pretty good thing where he's starting to raise money for the folks there.
Yeah, anytime I see anything charitable, regardless if it's sports or non-sports, I try to get it out there. And Julius Peppers, who in my mind will one day be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I think it's amazing to think what his career has been. He's back in Carolina. He obviously has ties there. The 2nd overall pick in the 2002
crazy
NFL draft, and still, just big play after big play for him. He's trying to help the hurricane victims and so on. Go to his Twitter page. He has all the information, very much like J.J. Watt has done such great work for the Houston community. Obviously, Julius Peppers falling in line. And these are the stories that oftentimes kind of get lost in the backwash, unfortunately. There's so many good players and so many good people out there doing good things. Unfortunately, we have a tendency to talk too much about holdouts. Yeah,
and you know what? And that's why you should follow at Bax Football Guru. He is Russell Baxter. Russell, thank you so much for taking some time out, my friend. Looking forward to doing this again.
You got it. We got to get that. And by the way, I'm just curious. You said the man behind the man behind the man. I sound like I'm standing in line at a movie theater.
No, he's definitely not. He is the man. Let's leave it at that. Russell Baxter. Russell, thank you so very much, my friend.